Biafra, superstars, media.
My people, my Biafran people, now how on a day? How on a day today? I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending from where you're listening to the sound of my voice. This is the Biafra Superstars Media and I'm holding it down. I say may God bless Biafra and may God bless His Excellency Oyendo Mazenam Kano. May God bless, may God bless, may God bless, may God bless His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the United States of Biafra, His Excellency ESN EKPA Simon Njoku, for the job Simon is doing. Simon, I want to say we thank you. We appreciate you. We love you because we know in your hands Biafra has come. In your hands Biafra will be safe. In your hands, now that Biafra has come, the people of Biafra will rejoice. When I say the people, I mean the men, the women, the children, the old, the young, the sick, the poor, the civilized and uncivilized, those born in the lower class, middle class, and even in the upper echelon of life. We shall all come together under one voice, under one accord, under one union, to scream out for Hallelujah Day, the day that Biafra has made. Lord have mercy. Above all, I say may God bless Her Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of the Biafra, USB, Her Excellency, Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE. Madam, the storm is over. Madam, this is the last straw of die of the enemy. Yes, we see what they are doing. We see what the distractors are doing towards you. Even though in the private, they heard that all programs are coordinated and controlled, are under your command. We thank God we've had those secret meetings in the public. And madam, me and my people, we the Biafrans, the real Biafrans, have pitched our tent under your command and control. Madam, remain focused, stay strong, because a happy day is not far away. My fellow Biafrans, at this point, today I want to speak to our good friend, a brother, a family of Biafra. Our brother, I call him brother because deep inside, I have this love and affinity for him. The one they call ELIAS GERASOULIS. What you are seeing on the screen was a day about 6 months ago, to be more precise. It was the day our Prime Minister, His Excellency Mazi EKPA Simon Njoku, presented the lobby team or some of the lobby teams to the Biafrans. Especially the Biafrans in America. They got to know those who are lobbying for us in Washington. And also, the Biafrans were able to know this gentleman called ELIAS GERASOULIS and also Mr. Jim Moran. I also went further when I said, as a child, I used to watch Jim Moran spar intellectually with the one they call John McCain. During those days in Senate or in Congress, whatever they call it. I knew about Jim Moran as a young man. I knew him back in the days he was seen or known as a maverick. So I went agog. I was happy that our Prime Minister was able to assemble this great team to be the ones to lobby for us in Washington, to be the eyes of the Biafrans, to be the advocate for the Biafrans in America. I will sound more professional in this analysis. So also, as we know that our Prime Minister prefers to contain himself in Sweden or in Finland because of the enemy, we know what Nigeria can do and undo. When we saw what they did to Walid and Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya, they went all the way to Kenya to kidnap Nnamdi Kanu. Then we knew we were dealing with a serious devil. A devil that cannot relent. A devil that can go the extra mile to get their job done. Because of that sole reason, our Prime Minister decided to restrain himself in Finland, where there will be no flight risk or nobody setting him up, giving his flight itineraries to Nigeria. Because of that, in the face-to-face meeting with the lobby team, our Prime Minister decided to send the then Finance Minister, Oge Nkere, known as Isaiah, and the rest of them. They were sent to Washington. After this introduction, and by so doing, Oge Nkere became the face of Biafra when discussing with ELIAS GERASOULIS and Jim Moran. In all the meet and greets that they were having in Washington, our Prime Minister was sending Oge Nkere. Unfortunately, there was a risk in that. Because being the finance minister, being the person that carries the purse, being the person that understands the money, the flow of the money, giving that man the same responsibility to be those to meet the movers and shakers of America was a mistake. Because when he has the money and now he's meeting those in authority, it's a very dangerous and I'll say a miscalculated effort by the government of Biafra. Perhaps that role should have been done by the Foreign Affairs Minister, if we had one, or our Prime Minister himself would have been the one to attend those occasions. But for the fact that our Prime Minister knew he was a flight risk, because Nigeria were everywhere to get him, they sent to his country, Finland, suicide bombers to kill him, not once, not twice, not 3 times. Even when he attended the previous convention, he came in suited with the bulletproof vest. That should show you the level of security that our Prime Minister demanded. At that point, I wish to now remind our brother, ELIAS GERASOULIS, that it is the people of Biafra that appointed Prime Minister Simon Ekpa to represent us as our Prime Minister. And when Simon Ekpa appointed your organization, it was you that said it. You said you came and you saw him online. You saw what we're doing online and you approached Simon Ekpa. And afterwards, you were so happy how things went. But today, I would say you've made a mistake in your judgment. Lord have mercy. By sidelining the Prime Minister, sidelining the people of Biafra that appointed our Prime Minister, because when you represent Biafra, you represent us. You are not representing just an individual. You ain't representing a business firm, because we the Biafran, we are a nation, not a business firm. So at this point, my people, before I go on and speak to my brother, I want us to play their first introduction to the Biafrans. And afterwards, I will have a one-to-one conversation with our brother, ELIAS GERASOULIS. If you're ready, let's go there. Listen. Broadcast from our Prime Minister. And as you all know, I'm going to break it down line for line, words for words. So if you're ready for me, my people, you are ready with me? I say, let us go there. I present to you an amazing snippet from the discussion held just yesterday, very, very fresh. If you're ready, let's go there. Listen.
You can bring all of them on the screen, please. Jim Moran, can give him access to a mute.
I've made them co-host, both of them,
right.
so they can.
All right, thank you very much. And
well, thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jim Moran. I served in the United States Congress for approximately a quarter of a century. After I left the Congress, I began to represent some corporations and countries and causes that I believe in. It has been an honor to work with you, Your Excellency. ELIAS GERASOULIS is my partner. This is primarily Elias's account, but I'm going to be working with him. While I was in the Congress, I was on the committee that funds defense and the State Department foreign operations, as well as the Foreign Relations Committee. I have an interest in Africa. I was a principal co-sponsor of the African Growth and Opportunity Act. But most importantly, I do believe that Biafran independence is a just and noble cause. And I trust that you have a bright future ahead. We will try to secure your independence. We can't promise because the politics is not a particularly predictable situation in the United States today, and justice is not always served, but we will work towards that objective. I appreciate the opportunity to work on behalf of the Biafran people, and at this point, let me turn it over to Elias. Elias?
Let's hold it there. He said he appreciates to work with the Biafran people. The Biafran people, not with an individual. He appreciates to work with the Biafran people. Now let us listen to Elias himself. And we'll continue from there. Listen.
And it's an honor to be working with you on this. And we appreciate your lending, your support, someone of your prestige and stature. That association would be so critical. So thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. And thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, Your Excellencies, and dear Biafrans in the United States and around the world. My name is ELIAS GERASOULIS, and I am a good friend and colleague of Congressman Moran, and we are your new lobbyists here in Washington, D.C. However, you should know that we are more than just your lobbyists. We are fellow freedom fighters in the struggle for the liberation of Biafra. And similar to how your compatriots in the Biafran Defense Forces are securing your freedom on the homeland, we will be fighting for your freedom in the political and diplomatic battlefield here in Washington, D.C. And we will make sure that all these U.S. officials, all these congressmen and senators understand that the Biafran independence movement is a pure democratic civilian uprising against injustice, the very same one that we had in the United States when we declared our independence from the British 200 years ago. On a personal level, I knew I had to get involved in this struggle, not only because of my belief in the Biafran cause, but my belief in His Excellency, the Prime Minister Simon EKPA. As I got to know the Prime Minister, I could see that he has remarkable leadership qualities and vision. And I knew that instinctively that he was a man of destiny and that he will have a very important impact in Africa in the years to come. And I thought it was a personal duty to assist him. Already...
Hold it there. You were speaking about our Prime Minister. It was a personal duty for you to assist our Prime Minister, not somebody else. Because you know the people are the ones that appointed our Prime Minister. Let's continue. I'll come back in this discussion. Let's continue.
Prime Minister has made remarkable progress and has outsmarted the Nigerian system in many ways. The Prime Minister has done this with the self-referendum. He has done this with opening diplomatic liaison offices around the world. And I think by establishing a proper Biafran lobby in Washington, D.C., the Prime Minister has delivered his master stroke. And if you can look at the Nigerian media and the social media, you will see that this is something that's been highly publicized. And I think this is because they understand the moment that the United States starts to gain more support for the Biafran cause, it will be a game changer. Because when the United States leads, other countries follow. Congressman Moran and myself are your voice to the U.S. Congress, your voice to the White House, your voice to the State Department, your voice to the highest offices in this great land. And we will not stop until victory is achieved. Long live a free, independent, and sovereign Biafra. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. We've just heard the submission by our good friend, our brother, ELIAS GERASOULIS. And as you can see, he was speaking solely on the Prime Minister and the Biafran people. There was no discussion about the Minister of Finance then, Mr. Oge Nkere, being somebody that should lead or a senior, stakeholder in the contract that was signed or whatsoever. Yes, ELIAS, according to you, the letter you wrote yesterday, you said to be careful with the U.S. law. You have to make sure things are done legally. And because of that, because Mr. Oge Nkere is part of the signatories in the contract that you had with the Biafran people, that is why you are going with the Biafra Republic government in exile, supposedly headed by Mr. Oge Nkere, against the USB, United States of Biafra, headed by the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE. Now at this point, Mr. ELIAS GERASOULIS, I want to point out the mistake that you made, because you were there at the beginning when we were still a government in exile, known as the Biafra Republic government in exile. Our contract with you was done while we were in the Biafra Republic government in exile. So the video that you all just watched now was at the time when he was introduced to the Biafran people under the Biafra Republic government in exile. Mr. ELIAS GERASOULIS, you were also invited to the convention in Finland that went from the 29th of November to the 3rd of December. And in your presence, the very first day of the convention, you saw Her Excellency, Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE, declare or redeclare Biafra with the name, the United States of Biafra. At that point, there was no objection from anyone. There was no internal grumbling. You were there to witness. You being a lobby firm at that point, what should have been in your mind is how to discuss an update to the contract to change those names from the Biafra Republic government in exile to USB, and also a renewal of the contract. Because I believe 6 months is done and dusted, and perhaps this contract was running for 6 months or a year. If it was running for 6 months, the month of December was a last month of which you were supposed to come and discuss for a renewal of your contract. And in this renewal, there should have been a change of name from the Biafra Republic government in exile to the United States of Biafra, because you were there as a witness. You saw how it went. Mr. ELIAS GERASOULIS, you are discussing with somebody who is into contracts, who is into different kind of mutual understanding, endorsements, and mutual agreements with different parties. So for you to now say, because the signature of Mr. Oge Nkere was in the previous contract that you had under the Biafra Republic government in exile, for you to say because of that you're still going with Oge Nkere, that was a mistake and a blunder made from your own part. Because you may have thought that yes, we still have our Prime Minister and that Oge Nkere is the acting Prime Minister. But the contract says Biafra Republic government in exile. On the other hand, in your presence in Finland, Latin Finland, you were there to witness Biafra being redeclared to become a sovereign state under the name the United States of Biafra. So you should have known that when our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE, reached out at you twice, you should have honored that call and discuss a termination of the old contract and a discussion of a new contract. Because you know that in that Finland, in the convention, the people came under one voice. And our Prime Minister was there with us, even though not present. And also, the Deputy Prime Minister was the one to run the affairs, the event of that day. So, Mr. ELIAS GERASOULIS, with all due respect, your judgment was flawed by choosing side and the particular way you went about it. Because you representing us in Washington as a Biafra Republic government in exile, that will be a mistake from your end and a conflict of interest. Because as we speak, we have now declared a nation known as the USB. So what you should have done was to follow the same protocol. If you were unsure about who was the real Deputy Prime Minister or acting Prime Minister, all you should have done was to request a call with the legal team of Simon EKPA in Finland. And I believe they would have granted you that access to have that one-to-one discussion with Simon EKPA, or to get a feedback from Simon EKPA on who to follow. So because of this, ELIAS GERASOULIS, there's a problem. Because yes, we know you've been doing a good job, but what happens when Simon EKPA is out and he aligns himself with Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE? Because according to the structure of Biafra, in the absence of Simon EKPA, the next executive next to the power is no other than Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE. So in terms of contract management, renewal or update, I was expecting your organization to have a discussion with Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE to renegotiate and make some amendment to the name and some details in it as well. Because from your actions or inactions, it is clear that if you had a judgment like this to go and represent us in America, in Washington, under Biafra Republic government in exile, it means you are trying to set us back based on what we did in Finland. It also means that you have not taken any form of recognition of what we did in Finland and also the continuation of the government. So I will give you this advice that you still have time to make those changes, make those adjustments and the rest, because if you continue with Ogenkiri, we will be coming with a new lobby team. And that new lobby team will be going to represent us with the name, the United States of Biafra. It will be something new. It will be the new face that we are as a nation. And we shall be discussing recognition of the USB in Africa. At this point, I would like to remind you of your words during the convention in Finland. And I want you to listen to what you said. You discussed how you were able to know or come across even our movement and the rest of them. At this point, fellow Biafrans, I want you all to please listen to the words of ELIAS. He was there at the convention in Finland when Biafra was redeclared and when we moved from the Biafra Republic government in exile and transitioned to the United States of Biafra. Listen to the words of ELIAS GERASOULIS. Thank you.
To the Supreme Leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, to the Prime Minister, His Excellency Simon EKPA, to the Chief of Staff, Dr. Orobueze, and all of the honorable cabinet ministers we have here today, to all the dignitaries, and most importantly, to the people Biafra. Thank you. I also want to provide my personal wishes and prayers for the Prime Minister and his family during this challenging time, and will support him to see him through this moment of challenge. I also want to pass along the regards of my colleague, former Congressman Jim Moran, who wanted to come but could not do so due to some personal obligations. I just want to speak extemporaneously for a moment. I didn't write my speech, but I just want to make some comments about how I got involved in this wonderful movement and the struggle, because I do think, looking back retroactively, I think there was a divine providence that brought me into this. So it was very interesting.
Listen to what he's about to say now. How he got to know about the Biafran movement. Listen to what he's about to say now. Listen.
Movement and the struggle, because I do think, looking back retroactively, I think there was a divine providence that brought me into this. So it was very interesting. I've known about Biafra for some years. I knew about the indigenous people, Biafra, the IPOB, was not involved. One day, by a complete accident, online, when doing some research, I came across this Biafra Republic Government Exile website, and I was very surprised. I thought to myself, when did a Biafra government come into being? So I clicked on the website, I looked through it, I became more and more interested. And then I came across a profile of Simon EKPA, and I thought, who is this Prime Minister EKPA? And yeah. So I became more and more intrigued. I went to his Wikipedia, I read it, talking about all the work he's doing, how he's based in Finland, and I became more and more intrigued. I was like, this is such an interesting person. I have to find out what's going on here. So I sent an email to the general email of the Biafra Republic Government Exile website, just saying that I was interested in learning more about the organization, because I was genuinely curious. This seemed very fascinating to me. And I received back an email personally from the Prime Minister saying he wanted to speak with me. So we spoke for the first time, and I was immediately impressed. I saw how brilliant he was. I saw that he was a visionary leader. I saw that he knew he was doing, how tactical he was. But most important, I saw that he had the special, intangible qualities of a leader and a historic leader. And I immediately knew there's something very special here. And this is something I've experienced with. I've dealt with leaders, presidents, prime ministers all over the world of different countries. My own family, I come from a revolutionary family in Greece where we've had many generations of freedom fighters. So I have a good instinct when it comes to who has leadership qualities. And I could tell, okay, this person has something very special. And if I work with him, I think we could actually achieve what he wants to achieve.
Hold it there with all due respect. Two things. He felt Simon EKPA has some qualities as a leader, something special. And he believed if he worked with him, they could definitely achieve what they want to achieve. But now, while our Prime Minister is temporarily being questioned in Finland, in his absence, if you believed in Simon EKPA, as you said, which I don't doubt, it means there is a structure in place by Simon EKPA that you should also believe in. And according to the structure, Mr. ELIAS GERASOULIS, you and I know, even here in America, if anything should happen to the president, the vice president comes in automatically. There is no kind of election that should be held or whatsoever. So how come in the case of the man you say you believe in, there was something special about Simon EKPA, his judgment and the rest of them? How come in his temporal absence, in the hierarchy of things in the government, the next person that should assume that office is the Chief of Staff, Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE. How come you were kind of dilly-dallying in responding to her when she contacted you twice? That's my worry. If you say that you were the one that reached out to Simon Ekpa, you saw our activities online, and you were intrigued by what you saw, and you reached out. And guess what? Simon Ekpa got back to you, and the rest was history. That's fine. I'm not doubting your intention that you just checked online and you saw what we're doing and you reached out. But also, me being a critical analyst, sometimes I just want to say at this point to our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE, I would like to suggest in the public that going forward, as we move towards contracting a new lobbyist for the United States of Biafra, there should be someone that we deliberately went for. Not a company that comes looking for us, because anything can happen. When someone is coming to look for you, they are trying to control the environment to an extent. Anybody could have sent them to us. I'm not saying it's the same in the case of our brother ELIAS GERASOULIS. But in a government, you go and seek for what you want. If you are looking for a lobby, you go and get the lobby, not a lobby coming to you and asking you about rendering you a service. That's not how it's done. It's all about the demand and supply. So please, Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE, we've seen what transpired yesterday, where suddenly Oge Nkere is now the one who they now claim they can speak to in the absence of Simon Ekpa. Despite our good brother, ELIAS GERASOULIS was there at the convention. He saw you pioneered everything, you led everything, you were the top person there, the most senior officer there during the convention. So all I want to say, in most cases, when we deal with the contract, you must put it out there and not people coming to request to work for you. No. There are so many lobbyists out there in America. In fact, to call a spade, Nigeria can step in and control what we are doing by, getting somebody to speak to us, to be our lobby person. That way, Nigeria is in control of what we are doing. In terms of delay tactics and things like this that happened just yesterday, where suddenly our good brother ELIAS GERASOULIS came out in the public and sent out a breaking news message via Twitter saying that according to the US law, he's obliged to work with Oge Nkere. He forgot that Prime Minister is the person who presides over the Biafrans, and if there's any contract you have, at that point, you should terminate the contract and come for a renewal contract with the right title, USB, written on it, because we are now in a country. We are no longer a government in exile. So with all due respect, the contract that you are still honoring is an outdated contract that needs to be updated. So my only worry for you, ELIAS GERASOULIS, is that soon and very soon, we, the Biafrans, under the leadership of our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE, we shall be coming up with a new lobby team that will be going under the USB. So while you are still operating under the United States of Biafra, or whatever they call it, in exile, that will be a problem. It will be a clash of interest, a misunderstanding. And this might lead to further problem for the Biafran people, because we, the Biafran people, we have chosen our prime minister to lead us. And in the absence of our prime minister, the structure in place only stipulates that one person can step in as a deputy prime minister. And that person is Dr. NGOZIORABUEZE. So I hope you understand what that means, because we cannot have two contracts from two different lobby teams trying to speak and lobby for our interests in America or around the whole world, because they will see us as the people that are not serious. The first thing you must do before you go out to lobby is have the house in order. And on the 29th of November 2024, we declared a new nation, and with the Biafrans, we have moved with the USB, United States of Biafra, and we have done away, or we have moved on from the United States of Biafra. So with all due respect, the contract that you have is with the previous name, position, or government that we were running. We are now in a new government. We are now in a new phase. We have moved away from the previous stages. We are now a country seeking the recognition of the whole world. So at this point, I want to thank Mr. ELIAS GERASOULIS for the efforts, his support throughout. But I hope he'll be able to rethink and reconsider his words, actions, and deeds from today going forward. Because if you want to continue supporting us to be our lobby team, you know what to do. It's not free. Your service is not free of charge. So you must make sure that you are speaking to the right channel and you are representing a country that has moved on to a new phase. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Biafra. Oh yeah, you not tired can you see ni wo nyendu. Wala jima makasoji la wena marabat. Oh, why ibe ya kusigunu? Iye na jiye na nwam. Oh, ke nwa ke ewu. Oh, bato biye. Nwam ndi Finland is ni wa bato oputo biye. Hey. Finland kpalago oputo biye. Ndi Igbo na Finland nechala ganya. Bago puto biye. Ndimbu na ndege da wekpazi ego bato biye. Nwam ibatala ndo bigo gwenu. Umu Biafra neke nego na anya go gorogondo. Alisike. osisi owu na asị na ya adagbugu ya adagbuchi ya mmadụ owu na asị na ya awụ nsogbu ya awụ nsogbu akara aka ya dụrụ onwe ya dụrụ ezinụlọ ya onye jiri ifeọma bịakwute gị ifeọma kpọkwa ya iru onye jiri ife ọjọọ bịakwute gị ife ọjọọ kpọkwa ya iru onye ji nke ọma dore ya na mma nke onye ji nke ọjọọ dore ya na mgbe ezi nwanne m gịnị